So for more, let's speak to our foreign editor, Kethevane Gorjestani. Hello to you, Kethevane. Tell us a little bit about the reactions to France's plan.
Well, unsurprisingly, it sparked angry reactions from the Israelis, with Benjamin Netanyahu saying that the move rewards terror, adding that a Palestinian state would be a launchpad to annihilate Israel, not live in peace besides it. And of course, unsurprisingly, the United States also joining in the chorus of a condemnation through the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who called Emmanuel Macron's decision a reckless decision and a slap in the face to the victims of October 7th. But it seems that Israel and the United States are sort of isolated in the group of countries that are at least publicly condemning Emmanuel Macron's move. It's more praise that Emmanuel Macron has gotten from around the world, obviously from the Palestinian Authority, obviously from several Arab countries, but also from Europeans like Pedro Sanchez, the Prime Minister of Spain, who is one of the European countries who made that same decision last year and who welcomed that move by Emmanuel Macron and added, together we must protect what Netanyahu is trying to destroy, talking about the future of that two-state solution. Macron's decision is also a sort of symbol of the broader isolation of Israel, growing isolation, because you're seeing more and more countries like France that were staunch supporters of Israel who are growing increasingly critical of the Israelis. And it's also giving a little bit of momentum, and there's been a lot of lobbying by the French to not be the only ones or the last ones to recognize Palestine as a state, but to push other countries. And the first in line might be the UK. And Keir Starmer yesterday stating that a ceasefire will put us on a path to the recognition of a Palestinian state. And that's what the French are trying to do, sort of push other countries to possibly follow in their footsteps.
Yeah, and this, as a humanitarian situation, just gets worse and worse. So this criticism seems to be snowballing, especially after we've seen so many really awful images coming out of the Gaza Strip.
Absolutely. And I was just talking about the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. He's holding an emergency call with Emmanuel Macron as well as the German Chancellor later today. And in a statement explaining why this call was warranted, he talked about the suffering and the starvation unfolding in Gaza and calling it unspeakable and indefensible. Now, Macron in his statement also talked about the urgent priority of ending the war in Gaza and of bringing a relief to the civilian population. But you're seeing more and more countries really speak out very forcefully about what is happening in Gaza when it comes to the humanitarian situation. Canada's Prime Minister saying that the denial of humanitarian aid is a violation of international law. The Australian Prime Minister said that preventing access to humanitarian aid to civilians cannot be defended and cannot be ignored. This comes, of course, just a few days after that letter signed by 30 foreign ministers, largely Europeans, but also the Canadian, the Australian, or the Japanese, calling for the end of the war in Gaza, calling for more humanitarian aid. Obviously, statements are very symbolic. There's no real concrete move as to what comes next. But the idea is that there is increased pressure on Israel. And there's also consideration, especially here in the European Union, about what sort of concrete steps to take. There are questions about future sanctions, about halting or suspending association agreement. All of these things are what humanitarian organizations are pushing for. They're saying Israel doesn't listen to statements or symbolic pressure. They need to step up and follow up with more sanctions.
All right, Kethevane, thank you very much. Kethevane Gorjestani, France 24's foreign editor.